At 83, Sir Paul McCartney finally opens the vault no Beatleologist ever cracked. In a quiet BBC Radio 4 studio, he leans forward and whispers, "Ricky Nelson taught me that a whisper can drown a scream." One sentence detonates 6 decades of speculation. Social feeds ignite. Why choose now? Why choose Ricky? McCartney only smiles, cradles his Hofner, and releases 4 spectral chords older than pop itself. Tonight, we trace the hidden handshake between Britain's boldest melodist and America's gentlest heartthrob. A bond forged in static-soaked night radio, tempered by fame's iron bars, and finally laid bare just weeks before McCartney's mammoth Got Back 2025 tour. Mid-February 1958, a ration-era drizzle taps 16-year-old Paul's bedroom window. Lamp off, blankets overhead, he dials a contraband transistor past midnight. The BBC has signed off. Radio Luxembourg bleeds through atmospheric static. Suddenly, Ricky Nelson's brand new B-side, Lonesome Town, seeps from the ether. The spaces between the notes feel illegal. So stark, they throb louder than the melody itself. Years later, Paul admits, "I heard the emptiness more loudly than the notes." He scribbles on the back of a geometry sheet, sad, steady, like walking alone down Penny Lane after last call. Those scribbles seed yesterday, She's Leaving Home, and every tear-lit Beatle ballad to come. Nelson isn't just influence, he is strategy. Elvis swivels, Jerry Lee detonates pianos, but Ricky stands still and simply feels. Paul realizes vulnerability can be rebellious currency. If classmates jeer at his soppy love songs, he'll weaponize that softness until they hum along. Soft power means nothing if corporate coffins lock the lid. Paul's first lesson in Nelson's cautionary tale. Blueprint and Caution, 1960-64, Hamburg's Reeperbahn, 2 a.m. 5 future legends on a postage stamp stage, sweat-drenching cheap leather. Between breakneck Chuck Berry covers, Paul slips chord changes cribbed from Nelson ballads, major to minor pivots that make sailors look up from their beer steins. Lennon scoffs, "Bit soppy, eh, Macca?" Paul shrugs, the dancers swoon. Softness is winning. Back in dingy dressing rooms, he studies Billboard snippets. Ricky's TV handlers force holiday specials, milkshake jingles, art stifled by sitcom branding. One quote chills him, Nelson, reluctant but compliant. Fear galvanizes McCartney's ruthless streak. He hammers EMI to release Yesterday, even though only one Beatle appears on the track. He fights for self-written singles, orchestral experiments, and the right to change haircuts mid-tour. Each victory a shield against becoming someone else's puppet show. 1964. The Beatles return to Liverpool as global emperors. During a rare day off, Paul drags George to his dad's sitting room, drops Nelson's Garden Party on the turntable, and murmurs, "When the screaming stops, we'll need songs this honest." George jots Pocket Symphony in his notebook, the seed of something. Honesty demands a price, and the invoice arrives wrapped in grief. End. April 10, 1999, concert for Linda, rehearsals at Royal Albert Hall. Roadie's curse, caterer scramble, vegetarian curries. Paul walks on stage hours before doors open, nylon string guitar in hand. Only techs and scattered artists, Neil Finn, Sinead O'Connor, sit in the darkened pews. Without preamble, he breathes Lonesome Town. The rafters catch every fragile syllable. Finn later swears it felt like snowfall inside a church. The moment isn't on the official program, but Chrissie Hynde tells engineers, roll tape. Though unreleased, the bootleg, Sir Paul's Private Tears, circulates in secret collector circles, proof of the debt Paul publicly acknowledges at last. Nostalgia heals, but regret festers, especially a phone call never made. Third, Tokyo, January 16, 1980. Customs unzip Paul's bag and reveal 219 grams of premium. Headlines screech. Japanese television shows the ex-Beatle hustled into a detention van. 9 nights in a Spartan cell, 8 tatami mats, 1 flickering bulb. Guards allow a notebook. On night 1, he writes, "If Ricky survived the pop machine, I'll survive this." Beneath that line, he drafts Lone Star, a duet designed for Nelson. All on verse, Ricky on chorus. 2 legends, 1 acoustic. Upon deportation, he slides the demo cassette, addressed R. Nelson, Vine Street, into a suitcase. But exhaustion wins. The tape stays unmailed. Inside MPL's vault, it still sits. Label reading, "For the Boy Who Whispers." 5 years later, New Year's Eve, 1985, a DC-3 carrying Nelson's Stone Canyon Band erupts mid-air. The BBC bulletin hits. Ricky Nelson dead at 45. Paul spends the night replaying Garden Party, staring at that unsent cassette. Regret hardens into creative rocket fuel, yet haunts every ballad that follows. The aching Only Love Remains turns out to be a funeral flower for a duet never sung. End quote. In some critics is the tape unside note. Side note, Capitol Records reportedly quashed Paul's earlier 1981 offer to produce Nelson's rockabilly comeback. Executives feared brand confusion. End quote. Haunted by silence, McCartney seeks noise of the most experimental kind. End quote. End. Paul and producer Youth barricade themselves in a 200-year-old Sussex windmill. Rule number 1, no Beatle chords. Their first Fireman LP, Strawberries, Oceans, Ships, Forest, unspools ambient drone and reversed percussion. Buried at 3:14 of track 5, a single twang from Ricky's Bebop Baby. Youth calls it the Ricky Easter egg. 2008's Electric Arguments goes further. Paul resurrects Lone Star, renames it Pacific Starlight, and records a ghostly guide vocal. Using AI stem separation, he lifts mere breaths, no melody, from Nelson's mono masters, weaving them as a presence loop. The finished track, described by insiders as Brian Eno scoring a David Lynch prom, is sealed in a password-protected drive labeled RN Echo. July 10th, 2025, 900 Nightwork GMT. Instagram Reels reveal custom guitar picks stamped RN. Within minutes, fans decode the Nelson salute. The 19-city trek kicks off in Palm Desert, winds through first-time stops like Albuquerque, and closes with twin Chicago blowouts. VIP swag bags include a facsimile of an April '63 postcard, Ricky touring Australia, congratulating the Beatles on Please Please Me. The original nicotine-stained card has ridden inside Paul's Hofner for 62 years. Sharing it completes the circle. Mid-set each night, he dims the stadium and screens grainy Super 8 of teenaged Ricky. Paul strums Travelin' Man, 60,000 Gen Z phones sway, grieving a stranger yet feeling every unmade call. Backstage, chef Mary McCartney plates a vegan meatloaf dubbed the Garden Party Plate. Merch sells out of shirts proclaiming whispers turn to wings within 12 hours. Scalpers list them online at triple. One last reveal waits in the wings, an album meant to outlive them both. End of. Every encore ends the same. Single stool, acoustic spotlight, lonesome town. Paul changes the arrangement nightly, delicate fingerstyle one show, dusky flamenco flourishes the next, but always lands on an unresolved chord. Fans hold their breath, understanding perhaps that some debts can only be acknowledged, never paid. Back at Hog Hill Mill, Paul sequences a 2026 benefit LP, Lonesome Souls. Side A, Nelson's original masters with new orchestration by Isabel Water-Bridge. Side B, modern artists, Phoebe Bridgers, Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, covering deep cuts under Paul's production. Profits fund mental health programs for touring musicians. Track 12 reportedly unlocks Pacific Starlight, blending Paul's present-day vocal with that AI presence loop, pending legal clearance and Paul's conscience. Asked about legacy, Paul shrugs. I'm just finishing conversations that started in my mom's living room, listening to American radio. He tilts his head as though hearing Luxembourg static through time. Cue Ricky Nelson's Garden Party, then McCartney's Jenny Wren. Hear two gentle rebels, decades apart, sing the same quiet revolution. Drop your reaction in the comments, hit subscribe for more hidden histories, and remember, the next Earthshaker may already be whispering on some late-night frequency, waiting for you to tune in.